What's your go-to joke when someone says tell me a joke? I went to a beekeeper to get 12 bees. He counted and gave me 13. Sir, you gave me an extra. That's a freebie. This stupid joke is my favorite one in this thread so far. What's wrong with me? I hate you. Take my upvote. I'm addicted to drinking brake fluid, but I can stop any time. Used to be addicted to the hokey pokey, but I turned myself around. I was at the park and couldn't figure out why the frisbee was getting bigger as it got closer. Then it hit me. What's the difference between a good joke and a bad joke? Timing. What's the difference between a joke and a rhetorical question? My version of this: why do engineers suck at telling jokes? Timing. And my dad's friend, who is an engineer, never got this joke. This one's a little NSFW. A man goes to the doctor for a checkup. The doctor tells him, you need to stop masturbating. The man says, really? Why? The doctor says, because I'm trying to examine you. I was thrilled to hear my doctor say I could have a stroke at any time. Well, if we're doing NSFW doctor jokes, my doctor said we're going to need to run some more tests. I'll need a urine sample, a stool sample, and a sperm sample. To which I replied, how's about I save us both some time and just leave my underwear clean? What do you call an alligator wearing a vest? An investigator. Dirty. What's the difference between a garbanzo bean and a chickpea? I've never paid $300 to have a garbanzo bean in my mouth. What's the difference between Dubai and Abu Dhabi? People in Dubai don't like the Flintstones, but people in Abu Dhabi do. The dirty one got me. What do you call a French man wearing sandals? Philippe Philop. Why does the Little Mermaid wear seashells? Because she's too big for bee shells. Underrated. Yesterday I bought a pair of shoes from my drug dealer. I don't know what he laced them with, but I've been tripping all day. Love it, Lamal. A pirate walks into a bar. The bartender asks, is that a steering wheel in your pants? The pirate responds, it's driving me nuts. A pirate walks into bar and sits down. The bartender notices that he has a peg leg, a hook for a hand, and a patch over one eye. The pirate orders a beer, and while he's pouring it, the bartender asks, so what's the story with the leg? Well, it were many a year ago, says the pirate. I were walking on the deck of me ship and a rogue wave swept me overboard, and a shark swam up and bit me leg clean off. I swam ashore and were fitted for peg leg that very night. That's terrible, says the bartender. What about the hand? Well, it were the very next day, says the pirate. I were walking on the deck of me ship and a rogue wave swept me overboard again, and a whale came up and bit me hand clean off. I swam ashore and were fitted for hook that very night. Wow, says the bartender. So what about the eye? Well, it were the very next day, says the pirate. I were walking on the deck of me ship, and I were looking out for rogue waves, and a seagull flew over and shit right in me eye. Oh man, says the bartender. And that blinded you? Well no, says the pirate. But it were me first day with the hook. This is my go-to for years, and never fails to make me laugh my ass off. Glad I'm not the only one. A guy's sitting at a bar with a dog on a leash. The owner, disgruntled, walks up to him and accosts him for bringing an animal into his establishment. Sir, I have it clearly marked outside that no pets are to be brought into this building. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. The dog's owner defends himself. No, sir, you don't understand. This is no ordinary dog. He understands how to speak. I can demonstrate it to you. The owner of the bar is losing his patience but allows him to continue. The man asks his dog, "Hey Sparky, how's life?" The dog answers, "Rough." "What's on top of the house?" "Rough." "Who's the greatest baseball player of all time?" "Rough." The bar owner is not impressed. He gets up, grabs the man by his shoulders and launches him through the door, with him landing in a pile out in the street. The dog comes trotting up to him and says, "Yeah, so for that last one, do you think I should have said DiMaggio?" That was a joke in an old Looney Tunes cartoon. Math version: a mathematician walks into a bar accompanied by a dog and a cow. The bartender says, "Hey, no animals are allowed in here." The mathematician replies, "These are very special animals." "How so?" "They're not theorists." The bartender raises his eyebrows and says, "I've met a number of not theorists who I thought were animals, but never an animal that was a not theorist." "Well, I'll prove it to you. Ask them anything you like." So the bartender asks the dog, "Name a not invariant." "Arf, arf," barks the dog. The bartender scowls and turns to the cow asking, "Name a topological invariant." "Mew, mew," says the cow. At this point the bartender turns to the mathematician and says, "Very funny." With that, he throws the three out of the bar. Outside, sitting on the curb, the dog turns to the mathematician and asks, "Do you think I should have said the Jones polynomial instead?" "Drill Sergeant, Private. I didn't see you at camouflage drills today." "Private, thank you, sir." "Drill Sergeant, did you come here to die?" "Private, nah, Mayor. Came here yesterday." A classic military joke in my country. Private Petrov's mother died and the top brass told his drill sergeant to inform him, but do it delicately. On the next day the sergeant gathers the entire platoon and shouts, "Privates, everyone who has a mother, move 2 steps to the front." "Petrov, where the hell are you going?" 2 scientists walk into a bar. The bartender says, "What can I get you?" The first scientist says, "I'll have an H2O. The second scientist says, "I'll have an H2O, too." The second scientist died. 2 scientists walk into a bar. The first scientist says, "I'll have an H2O. The second one says, "I'll have a glass of water as well." The first one starts crying. "Damn it, you saw through my plans," he tells the second scientist. Cheesy. What's worse than biting into an apple and finding a worm? Finding half a worm? The Holocaust. What's worse than finding 2 worms in your apple? 2 holocausts. Well, I tell you the one about Jonestown, but the punchline is too long. Edit, thanks for the silver. This one got a groan. 2 peanuts were walking down the street. One was assaulted. As Dan Avidan has said, this works best if read or said in an old Jewish man voice. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.